If you're in the UK, good evening. If you're in the US or Canada, good afternoon. Or if you happen to be in Australia or Japan, good morning. On today's show, I talked to a guy who's had a busy 2 weeks, obviously with Progress and TNT. I mean, you must be shattered.
I don't get tired, my friend. I love wrestling, and it's what I do. And we have a great time. Just coming off the back of a fun weekend where we did 5 shows in 3 days, which I was absolutely privileged to ring announce, and I had a thoroughly great time doing it. But Liam, it's absolutely great to speak to you and to catch up with you finally. I know we've been planning this for a little while, so brilliant to be here. I'm the Maddog, Mike Angus, and excited to chat about wrestling as always, my friend.
Of course, but first, intern, roll the intro. Now, where shall we start? Shall we start with TNT or shall we start with Progress? I'll let you decide.
Well, you know what? I think if we're going to speak, if we might as well go in date chronological order. So we might want to talk about the amazing shows we did with Progress, Chapter 155 and 156 that we did in Birmingham and Sheffield just the other week. Absolutely exciting times to be on tour with Progress. So yeah, let us know your thoughts, Liam, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So obviously, I didn't see the Birmingham show, but Mark Haskins was in the match with Derice. Bullet against Kid Lycos second. Kid Lycos and Dan Maloney. Session Moff Martina and Lizzie Evo. Of course, they've got a rivalry throughout the entire wrestling world. Brian Cage and Big Damo. Spike Trevay and Luke Jacobs. Rio and Renee Michelle. And of course, Ricky Knight Jr. And I don't even want to try and butcher that last name.
Oh, yeah, Inamura, a brilliant wrestler. But yeah, what a card we had that day. It was absolutely brilliant to welcome Renee Michelle to Progress. She was absolutely wonderful, a true star. And, Brian Cage as well over from AEW. And, I've spoken about this briefly on another podcast I did. He was, so agile. What an athlete that guy is. He's built, he's absolutely massive. And yet he's doing all sorts of cruiserweight and high flying moves as well. And him and Damo put on an amazing fight. You just know Damo always delivers, in front of a live audience. Amazing wrestler, best super heavyweight I've seen in a long time. And there's only one other man really you can compare to him and get anywhere near him. That's Bullet, who absolutely battered poor Kid Lycos 2 on that show. Lycos too, such a hardworking guy. Another amazing technical aerial abilities on that guy. The high flyer, amazing. But he was in big trouble with Bullet on that show. Yes, we had an amazing time. The audience was absolutely packed and they were loud right the way through the whole show. It started off wild with Driller Maloney back from Japan, one half of the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions, of course. So, it was great to have Driller there, and he was up against the Super Strong Style 16 winner, Kid Lycos. So that was an amazing match to start things off. Ruined by the Sovereign Lord, the Vulture, Spike Trevay, just out causing chaos as usual. And, we just had a great time in Birmingham. It was brilliant. Great show. Everyone delivered. It was nice for Derice to be back in his hometown and to be able to, we had a bit of a special entrance on this occasion. And, we just had a great show. Luke Jacobs was there. Brilliant showing. Session Moff and Lizzie Evo always is going to be a great match. And, of course, to have Inamura, debut for Progress over from Pro Wrestling Noah and take on Ricky Knight Jr., who's just, the Atlas champion, amazing wrestler. It was a really fun show, and I'm sure everyone who attended had a great time in the O2 Academy of Birmingham on what was surprisingly one of the hottest days of the year out of nowhere.
Yeah, and obviously the day after was obviously in Sheffield. Now, I was actually at this event, so Bullet was obviously in a match. So Bullet was obviously in a match against Big Damo, Charles Crowley against Axel. I can't even pronounce that second name.
Oh, Axel Tisha, yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence Roman and G Money, Renee, and obviously Session, Mark and Brian, LJ Cleary and Inamura, Velocities and Boisterous Behavior, Kid Lycos 1 and 2 and Jacobs against Dominius Rig. I hope I said that right. And LA Taylor and Alexis Falcon. Now, this
Yeah.
was obviously my first time at a Progress show, and do you know what? I absolutely loved it. Incredible.
Yeah. What was your favourite match, Liam? What did you enjoy?
I enjoyed obviously the Lana Austin match because I just wanted obviously Falcon to do so well, and that main event, oh my god, that was bonkers.
It was wild, wasn't it, from the start? And I knew it was going to be wild, as you know, when Lycos said to me, he said, "Lee, don't you dare switch my theme music off. Leave it running because I'm going to beat these guys all round the O2 Sheffield." I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, so that was just a wild one, wasn't it? Literally went everywhere, and what an amazing match. A nice special moment to see as well was that LJ Cleary going on his trip to Japan, representing all the UK wrestling promotions. The MVP of Irish wrestling is going to be a Gaijin over in Japan there for Noah. So that's amazing for him, you know, to progress his career further, and you know, a real honor to be able to be there and get to see that. As well, the Velocities on Progress for the first time in a while, or since, well, I've seen the first time I've seen them there. So they were excellent, really great tag team work against Boisterous Behavior. One of, you know, those two are two of the best tag teams in the UK. There's not as much tag team wrestling as there once was, and those guys, you know, really deliver with that classic style, reminiscent of the Rockers, I would say. You know, so there's all sorts of classic stuff going on there. Once again, Session Moth was on the card, who's just high energy bevies, isn't it, all the time with Session Moth. So Martina partying it up all around the place. And of course, we had Gene Money. Gene's always on top form. Bullet and Big Damo, battle of the big guys. As Simon would say, it was the big men slapping man meat there. It was the hosses, battle of the hosses. So,
yeah, and we also got a nice little appearance from Tate Mayfairs. We obviously will get onto that. I mean, I did not expect that. That really took me off guard.
That was absolutely brutal and unexpected for everybody. For him to just, after saying he didn't want to face Simon, he wanted to stay away from him, for him to jump him like that just out of nowhere, it was absolutely despicable. And you know, Mayfair's, he's got a chip on his shoulder, obviously, about Simon, but it gets worse, more despicable every time I see that fella. So yeah, if I catch up with him this weekend, I'll have a word with him myself. And as it is, I know Simon's definitely going to have a word with him, because this weekend on Sunday at Chapter 157, it's going to be Simon Miller versus Tate Mayfairs. So he's going to be able to get his own back there. And I think Mr. Mayfairs is going to be getting a hiding all around the Electric Ballroom in London this week.
Absolutely. And obviously, that's the card, obviously, for this week. And I'm going to be honest, there's some really, really good matches here, which obviously catch my eye. Obviously, Blake Christian, the GCW champion. QT Marshall, obviously, is doing really, really well. Are you excited looking at that card?
Oh, mate, that is an absolutely stacked lineup, isn't it? It's amazing. You've got the GCW Championship being defended on there. QT Marshall's going to be defending the AAA Latin American Championship. You've got just the talent on that card is exceptional. It's such a great show. And anybody who's in London over the weekend, get yourselves along to this, because it's going to be absolutely special. And, you know, the crowning glory of it all is that Kid Lycos is getting his opportunity against Spike Trevay for the Progress World Championship. That is the culmination of Lycos's whole career so far, building up to this moment. This is his chance. And, you know, I think he's going to take it. It's a special moment for him. And he's not going to let his fans... He's doing this for everybody in the ballroom. And, you know, this is his chance. He's going to take that title away from the Sovereign Lord, Spike Trevay, I think.
I was going to say, which match on that card are you looking forward to the most? But I think you've just kind of just given it away.
Well, that's going to be amazing. Simon Miller getting his revenge on Tate Mayfairs is going to be pretty special. And also, if we're speaking about TNT and Progress at the same time, Lizzie Evo and Ali Catch on the first day at TNT did have a bit of a meeting in a tag team bout where it was Bussy taking on Scouse and Proud, which is Harley Hudson and Lizzie Evo, the TNT Women's Tag Team Champions. So, of course, we had that match, which was at Project X. So, great stuff there. And they fought each other then. So, we had a little inkling of what could happen between them. And knowing Lizzie and knowing Ali Catch, it's all going to kick off in the ballroom, be a special match for anyone in attendance, that one as well.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously we'll head over to TNT, and I've got the list of matches here for you. So Project X, obviously you just mentioned, was the show. So Lycos Jim defeated Los Vipers. in the first
Oh,
match.
Lost Vipers were absolutely amazing. They were one of my highlights of the weekend. The King Strange, Ares, and the Maniac Latigo, they were just exceptional. Every time those guys appeared over the weekend, they brought those lucha libre stylings, and Ares brought that third eye with him. And I tell you what, they were just very special. But carry on, Liam. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. I'll read the match, and obviously you can give your opinion on it. So the next one was obviously the TNT Women's Title match. Alexis Falcon with Charles Crowley defeats Masha Slamovich.
Yeah, of course. Well, Masha is the highest rated female ever on the PWI 500. She was 15th in the world. Exceptional and amazing to welcome such an excellent talent, the Russian Dynamite, to welcome her to Liverpool and to have her against the TNT Women's Champion was a really special match. But obviously there was that deciding factor, which was the fact that the TNT World Champion, Mr. Charles Crowley, the spectacular one, was out at ringside with Alexis, helping her out on that day. So Masha Slamovich might have run into a bit of trouble there, but you can always check that back out on Fight TV. It is still available to watch. So over the weekend, we did 5 shows, obviously, and I think I worked out it was about 40 matches that I ring announced, and I did over 110 different introductions for people. So I'm surprised I've still got a voice this week, really, to be fair, but it's never failed me before, so I didn't expect it to, really.
Next up was obviously Driller Maloney versus Gringo Loco.
Yeah, Gringo Loco from Chicago, Illinois, the base god. One of the first times that I've seen him in action, apart from videos. And he was excellent. Some really great, for a bigger guy, some lucha libre style wrestling as well. And he took it to Driller Maloney. But Driller is just the super fight soldier. And he is, 44 caliber, part of the Bullet Club War Dogs. This guy means business. And, he brought it in Liverpool. And Gringo Loco and him had an epic match. And Dan Maloney looking class as always.
Absolutely. Next up was obviously the GCW Ultra Violent title death match. Rina Yashimishita defeated Emerson Jane.
Yeah, Rina Yamashita was she's the GCW Ultra Violent champion, and she bloody deserves to be. She's one of the most one of the nicest individuals to me, very polite. And then as soon as she steps into that ring, she's the most violent person I think I've ever seen. She's up there with Big Effing Joe and Clint Margera, people like that who just, in this deathmatch environment, they just have a different level of violence that they take it to. And that is exactly that. Emerson Jane is another brilliant person who's a deathmatch fighter. I would never have thought was a deathmatch fighter, because this is somebody I've seen have amazing matches all around the country with people like Casey Owens and Session Moth Martina, and then suddenly put in a deathmatch. Wild. Just, these people just take it to a different level. And it was, a really special match, but very, very violent. If you're a fan of deathmatch wrestling, that is one to check out. And, as well, the next day in action again, but both competitors over the weekend again. So, we'll speak about that in a moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up was obviously the TNT World title match. Charles Crowley, who we mentioned earlier on, defeats Jordan Oliver.
Yeah, wow, that's Crowley is an amazing athlete, and Jordan Oliver, another great wrestler. We've had visiting the UK at TNT for about since before lockdown. So this is somebody who's been over a few times, who we've been keeping an eye on, the Cloud Cutter, the East Coast Ace, and he's obviously in a tag team with our friend Nick Wayne in the East West Express. And of course, this weekend as well, he had a tag team with Starboy Charlie, as well as the new East West Express. So Jordan Oliver, brilliant wrestler, but Charles Crowley has always got an answer for everything, especially at TNT Extreme Wrestling. So,
absolutely. Obviously, the next match was obviously Boosie and versus Scouse and Proud, which we just mentioned it, Joe, briefly with Lizzie and stuff.
Yeah, it's always great to welcome Effie and Ali Catch Bussy back to the UK. And obviously we did Effie's Big Gay Brunch, the first European edition over in the UK earlier in the year. And, the crowd in Liverpool just absolutely love Effie and Ali Catch. So a perfect matchup to have them going against the TNT Women's Tag Team Champions, Scouse and Proud, Lizzie Evo and Harley Hudson. And on this occasion, the tag team has looked so strong up against Bussy. There was a bit of, seemed to be some sort of falling out between them on this occasion. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it, make sure to go and check it out on Fight TV now because, yeah, a little bit of a breakdown in communication between the two ladies there. So, Scouse and Proud, both two very proud individuals, both absolutely tenacious, full of fight, ferocious individuals, and just don't get under each other's skin, girls.
This next match really caught my eye. It's the TNT Ultra X title match with Man Like Darius defeating Leon Slater, Robbie X, Scotty Rourke, and Starboy Charlie. Now, a lot of them, obviously, I've seen them in previous shows, so I was to be quite honest, that really does sound really intriguing.
Yeah, it was a Project X match. So there's a scaffold hanging above the ring. You have to climb across to get the title. Unfortunately, Nico Angelo had to drop the belt that evening, vacated due to injury. So the belt was hanging above the ring, and all the guys had to climb across the suspended ropes to get across the championship, and the person who got it last was the winner of it. So with that level of talent in one ring, it's always going to be an amazing matchup. And, you know, that is one that you've got to watch if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. Everyone's obviously speaking highly about Leon Slater. I mean, every person who obviously has spoken throughout wrestling have said that this is the guy to watch, is Leon Slater.
Yeah, there's a couple of amazing talents in the UK at the moment. So I've got my eye on and worldwide. Nick Wayne is one of them. People like Chrissy Decker and Tommy Tango, Nathan Angel. These are all young wrestlers who are coming through the scene who people need to see, and you need to make sure you check them out. Daz Black up in Scotland's been amazing, but Leon Slater is the man at the moment. He is brilliant, and with the guidance of Darius and Driller Maloney, part of the 0121, he's really got the right people around him, training him how to work and training him how to wrestle and be a star. And he's got that X factor, that natural ability, which is why they call him the 0.0001%, the youngest in charge. And every match he has is an absolute banger. So you want to make sure you check this guy out while you can. If you see him on a card in the UK, buy your tickets now, get along and see this guy. And he will be in action with Boisterous Behaviour on Sunday at Progress. So get yourself along, because I can't see it being too long before he ends up working in the States permanently, because he is a star, as is Darius, his tag team partner.
Absolutely, absolutely. So then obviously Saturday was obviously GCW in Liverpool. Now, there's some really big matches on this one. So first one was the boys defeated CPF, which is, of course, Danny Black and Joe Lando.
Yeah, huge match. The boys, Jimmy Lloyd and Starboy Charlie had a great appearance there. And yeah, anyone taking on CPF, it's always going to be a good match, because all four of the CPF guys are absolutely cracking. On this occasion, it was just Joe Lando and the kid with Althea, Danny Black, and they're always impressive, always impressive. That was a great way to start the show. And I meant to say as well, in the afternoon of that day, we had a family-friendly show as well, TNT Ignition, where we crowned our first ever TNT Ignition Women's Champion, Lucy Sky.
Oh, tell us about that. Go ahead.
Pardon me. That's it. Done now. Done. 5 days, 5 ring announcements, and then commentary's done me in.
Yeah, tell us about obviously the Ignition part. We've got a bit of time.
So the family-friendly show was great. We had right through the afternoon, we had RPD was defending his Ignition Championship against JJ Webb, and we had the semi-finals, and the final of the TNT Ignition Women's Championship tournament, where the final was Lana Austin versus Lucy Sky. And Lucy, the master of the Wig Wham Bam, managed to get all the way through to the final and picked up that big victory. So a huge title win for her, and the inaugural TNT Ignition Women's Champion. So an amazing afternoon of family-friendly wrestling. We try and, although we're very well known in Liverpool for our deathmatch style wrestling, that niche, we still do have the family-friendly shows as well, which everyone can come and enjoy. And of course, they certainly did. And it was a really fun afternoon, a good start to the show. And you can watch that back now on the TNT YouTube channel.
Definitely. So we'll obviously go back to the GCW and Liverpool show. Jordan Oliver defeats Man Like Darius. This one surprised me, because obviously Darius is obviously a big name.
Darius is a huge star. Jordan Oliver, a huge star. And when these two clash, it's always going to be an amazing match. And, they're both very different styles. But, Jordan Oliver is the JCW champion over in the States. He's very well traveled. He's wrestled in Japan. He's wrestled in Australia, America, all over the world. And Darius, of course, himself has been over to America, wrestled Myron Reed over there in GCW. And, it's a close affair. And it's coming down to, when it's athletes who are that good, it can come down to one tiny little mistake, one little distraction, or just one little tiny mismove. And the guy's going to pick up the 1-2-3 against you. When you're dealing with talent who are that good, it's literally, it can come down to just one tiny little thing that can, sway the bout one way or the other. And in this case, Jordan picked up the win. But, next time it could be Darius. So, always going to be a good one with those guys about.
Of course. Next one, obviously, was Joey Janela defeats Blue Cane. Of course, Blue Cane's been making a name, obviously, on the internet. I mean, I didn't know what to expect with this match.
Well, that's how I've ended up with this cough, because we were saying, should we say Blue Cane or should we say Blue Cane? But I've been calling him Blue Pain as well. So I'm not quite sure what the current standing is, but I think we're meant to call him Blue Pain. So I'll stick with that for safety reasons. But absolutely brilliant match. There was the big redacted machine was Joey Janela just couldn't keep him down. He was hitting him with chair shots, and Blue Cane just kept sitting back up. He was just, and the snow was falling in there. The Blue Dabba D was ringing around the arena. The fans were chanting along to that. And I think Joey Janela, for one of the first times I've seen him, was worried because he kept hitting Blue Cane with that chair, I tell you. And then, but eventually, Joey Janela managed to come out on top in that one. But Blue Cane still lives to fight another day. And if I'm not mistaken, I seem to remember that the Undertaker is going to be after him in the near future. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that happening at TNT. I believe that could potentially be a cold day in hell. So I'll keep my eyes peeled for that one.
Definitely. Next up was obviously a triple threat, which was Gringo Loco defeats Ares and Latigo. Yeah,
exactly. Ares and Latigo, the Lost Vipers, were absolutely amazing. The whole weekend they were there, and it was we had a great match between the Lucha Libre stars, and they all put it all on the table. It was excitement from the word go, and the fans were absolutely into it. And the please come back chants were ringing around Hangar 34 in Liverpool when these guys fought each other. So absolutely amazing stuff. And I was just so impressed with the Vipers. They were excellent all weekend.
Absolutely. Next up was obviously GCW Ultraviolet title death match, which was Riina and Session. I've seen the clips of this. This looked brutal.
Yeah, this match and the Emerson Jane match, Riina Yamashita was just so impressive. Just, as I said, taking that violence to a whole different level. And, credit to Session Moff. She was petrified of this match from what I could see. And she hung in there. She was busted and she was bloody, but she kept going. And there was a couple of times where I thought she might have picked up the championship, and took it over back to the States as well herself. But it was Riina Yamashita's day. And but brilliant match. Definitely one worth watching if you're a deathmatch fan. And both Emerson Jane and Session Moff Martina were on the end of beatings from Riina Yamashita, and they ended up fighting each other on Siren's Fury on the Sunday. So that's one to check the pictures out from if you haven't seen it, because they both showed up bloody and bandaged still from the days previous, and proceeded to have a barnstormer of a match themselves that started off with them so tentative that they didn't want to hit each other almost because they were so battered and bruised, to escalating into absolute brilliant match, as always, from Emerson Jane and Session Moff.
Next up was obviously the 6-man tag match, which was Thrushi defeating Team Mayfairs.
What was that? Sorry, I missed who was it? Tate Mayfair's team was Ellis, Mulligan, and Mayfair's, wasn't it? And then who was on the other team?
Ali Kali Dark Sheep, Effie, and Ali.
Oh, of course, for us, see the full hit this time with Dark Sheik as well, of course. Yeah, no, that was excellent. Just thinking back, the crowd chants for Ellis were hilarious. They were really rinsing him, and but Mayfair's good captaincy. He picked a good team. Great to see Mulligan in action. Very a large individual Mulligan. He was reminiscent of of like maybe almost a Big Bill who's in AEW at the moment, and reminded me ever so slightly of that because of his build, but then his technical and wrestling ability seems to be top notch. Good brawler, and Ellis as well was very impressive. Mayfair's is always just taintness is greatness, as they say, and he was on top form this weekend in that match. And Frusty, though, are just different level. When they're bussy, they're one thing, and then they add the Dark Sheik, the Master Mold, the Mother Brain into the mix, the Iron Slut, and suddenly it's just a whole different level, So a whole different level of chaos in Liverpool that day. And the celebration dances at the end is one to be remembered from Sheik. So yeah, excellent stuff.
Next up was obviously Marsha Slamovich defeating Tony Deppen.
Yeah, Tony Deppen is an excellent wrestler, really good, and I love his theme music. They built this city, everyone's singing along to that one in Liverpool. Still a bit of Starship. So, but Tony Deppen is a brilliant wrestler, and a bit of a crazed individual. When he comes to the ring, he's smiling manically, and he's up to all sorts. But he's very laser focused when he gets in the ring. Great technical wrestler, and somebody who is just a bit of an enigma in the ring as well. But going up against Masha Slamovich, Masha is not number 15 in the world for no reason, and that was a great match. And I can only recommend people go back and watch that one before. I won't spoil it too much. Won't tell you too much of what happened there.
Now, next up, obviously, was the GCW World Title match, Blake Christensen against Leon Slater. We've obviously spoke about, obviously, Leon Slater, but what was this match like?
Excellent. And the thing about Blake Christian is he's last year he was over with GCW, and he was the crowd were unsure sort of what to think of him. They didn't really like him, but they appreciated and respected his ability as a wrestler. This year he's become the GCW champion, and he's absolutely turned his back on the fans. He's attacking other wrestlers. He's a horrible individual from what we can see. And this continued in Liverpool. He was acting up, mocking the fans, mimicking people, doing all sorts of antagonistic things. So basically, the crowd are completely against him. The chanting was crazy. All sorts of abuse coming from the Scouse crowd, as TNT is famed for. And but Blake Christian just ate it up. He loves all that. He loves to be hated, and he was absolutely excellent again. Just when you think he's going to do one thing, he'll do something completely different. On the top rope, 450 out of nowhere, all sorts of stuff like that. Very, very special wrestler, brilliant, and well deserving to be the GCW champion at the moment, the world champion.
Yep. So last up, obviously, on this one was a tag team death match with Big Joe and Clint Margera defeating Los Magzitos. I hope I've said that right.
Well, I had a problem with that one as well. I had to speak to them a few times before I did the ring announcement for them. I had heard a lot of them before, but with not speaking Spanish myself too well, I double-checked a couple of times. So it's Miedo Extremo and Ciclope, the team of Los Macizos, and they were absolutely brilliant right the way through the whole weekend, fighting out of Pachulca, Hidalgo, Mexico, and they were a brilliant tag team. But they went against an absolute dream team, a deathmatch dream team of Big Effing Joe, who's the current TNT Extreme Division champion, and Clint Margera, who's the former TNT Extreme Division champion, who's won DOA back-to-back, who's just, he's representing Blood Fighter. Big Effing Joe's representing Deathmatch Outlaws. They're two of the best deathmatch wrestlers on the planet, and they're going up against Los Macizos, who are just... These guys are so nice. They're chatting to them, they're great Mexican guys to chat to and everything, really friendly and everything. And they get in the ring, and suddenly they're just crazed individuals. They've got the Mexican flag tied around them. They're flying about with light tubes attached to them as wings. They've got, a blow-up dolls in there with them getting battered. There's spikes, there's skewers, there's barbed wire, tables, chairs, glass shower curtains, people are getting thrown through and all sorts. And I'll tell you something, I've seen a lot of death matches at TNT. We've had DOA tournaments, we've had thrill kill tournaments, all death match based wrestling, really popular in Liverpool. And this was one of the best death matches I've seen. And it was one of the only tag team death matches I've seen. And the great thing about it was there was just constantly something happening wherever you looked. For this whole main event, it must have been about 20 minutes long. it didn't stop. The action didn't slow down. It was just wild the whole time. And there was people, obviously, there was blood everywhere. It was brutal. And Big effing Joe got a horrific laceration to his arm that I'm sure if you look into that sort of thing, you can find a picture of it. It was a grim injury, that. And the whole canvas was blood-soaked, covered in glass. And it was, for any deathmatch fans, that's the one to check out from that show, because it was an excellent, excellent quality deathmatch. And I would say Dave Meltzer would probably give it 6 stars as a deathmatch.
There you go. So before we obviously look at the TNT Cross GCW show, you obviously mentioned Siren's Fury there. I can't find obviously what matches were on the card, so do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, Siren's Fury was excellent. It represented some of the best female wrestlers in the UK. Absolutely excellent. It was really great to see Sapphire Reed appearing. Harley Hudson was on the card. Also, tag team match was really great. It was the first time I've seen Lizzie Evo and Rio tagged together in my memory, and they were fighting Lana Austin and Alexis Falcon, which was really exciting. Alexis did get knocked out right at the end of the match, and she was then in the ring for the whole interval for in-ring photos. I think a medic did check on her, but she stayed in the ring for in-ring photos with the others. Some brilliant photos for the fans there. They had a great time. And then, of course, Molly Spartan took on the new TNT Ignition Women's Champion, Lucy Sky, which was a brilliant contest between two of the best, hardest hitting ladies in the UK. So that was great to see. And then our main event was Zizi versus Ali Catch. And I've mentioned this before, but I think Zizi, I first saw her at PW last year. And I think she is definitely a star for the future. I believe she's been trained by Joseph Connors up in Nottingham, sort of around that way. And she is just, for her to be put in a match against Ali Catch on Siren's Fury in the main event was a huge call. And it was the right call, because she was excellent. She delivered. She had a brilliant match, and definitely somebody to watch out for. If you've not seen her, you need to see her in action. And I think Ali Catch was took to her limits against Easy there, which is a great show. Brilliant Siren's Fury show. Only the second show they've ever done. And they're only going to get better from here. So make sure if you see Siren's Fury advertised, that you get along and go and enjoy the shows. The best female wrestlers on the planet.
And there is some really good wrestlers in the UK right now, especially the women's side. Definitely.
Amazing. We've got, the UK is an absolute hotbed for wrestling talent. And you see all our ladies and male wrestlers wrestling all over Europe and are wanted all over the world. So that's brilliant. It's great that we've got so much talent over here. Very lucky. And a lot of that comes from the great training schools we've got, of course. All-Star South run by Joel Redmond's training up some of the best talent. The guys at Future Shock, Sam Bailey there is training up great wrestlers. Of course, my friends up in Newcastle, there's a couple of promotions up there who have got training schools, Northern Grafter, and of course Battle Ready. And there's some absolute great training schools. Pursuit Pro's got one where Liam Slater's coaching. And if you do want to become a professional wrestler, the best thing to do is work hard in the gym and get along to one of these schools where they can train you on the basics and what you need to know, and train from some of the best wrestlers in the business who can coach you and give you tips. And then from there, you can progress into having a match and, getting onto these wrestling shows. But these people who we're seeing at the moment have trained so hard and worked so hard in the gym, worked so hard in matches, had so many matches to the point where these guys are absolutely top of their game now. And it shows, because they're just delivering in matches. You go and watch them, and it's just so entertaining and excellent sporting abilities. So, great to see.
Absolutely. So let's finish, obviously, the TNT weekend off with TNT/GCW. I didn't realize this is obviously not the first time you've done this. So how did this whole concept come about before we get into the match breakdown?
Yeah, of course. So Jay Apter, who runs TNT, is always looking for opportunities to bring over the biggest and best stars in the world. Before AEW started, we had Pac, Penta, Phoenix, all wrestling at TNT, El Phantasmo, the likes of Will Ospreay, Pete Dunne, everybody who you're watching the WWE nowadays who's been over to the UK and wrestled on TNT. Volta was our TNT champion before. JD Madonna was TNT champion before. Jay is always looking out for the best talent to come over, and he made a link up with Brett Lauderdale, who runs GCW, and said, bring GCW over. We'll have TNT versus GCW, and we managed to do it for the first time last year. It was amazing, sellout event right the way across the weekend, and then similarly this year, even bigger event with 5 shows over the 3 days. So amazing stuff.
Absolutely. So match number 1 was obviously
a
4-way match. Gringo Loco defeats Robbie X, Scotty Rourke, and Tony Deppen, which we've obviously spoke about these obviously during the show so far. But what was this match like?
Anytime you have a 4-way and you've got talent of that level, it's going to be entertaining. It was great to see Scotty Rourke back in Liverpool, of course, and he's just excellent. The lost boy of British wrestling, brilliant wrestler, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him wearing championship gold around the country over the course of the next year. As we said about Tony Deppen, just a crazed character, and Robbie X is, don't call him the king of the cruiserweights for nothing. He's absolutely excellent, and pun intended, and he's really great wrestler, and just that match was a great way to start the final evening of the show. You can't have a more exciting match than something like that, so it's great.
Yep. Next up, obviously, was the TNT Women's Title match. Lizzie Evo defeats Alexis Falcon in, am I reading this right? 4 seconds.
That's the shocking thing that I saw. Yeah, 4 seconds. I didn't even have a chance to introduce them, and they'd already announcing the winner. But an interesting one there, as I mentioned earlier on in the day. Lizzie and Alexis had tangled in at Siren's Fury, and I believe Alexis had either been knocked out or picked up a bit of a concussion or something, but she was not in the right state of mind going into that show in the evening. She'd been bickering with Lizzie on the Friday night, if I'm not mistaken, after the show outside, and Lizzie had ended up digging Mr. Crowley, took a dig, and Alexis got brutalized there. And then you don't pick a fight with Lizzie Evo in Liverpool. That's just asking for trouble. And if you've been knocked out potentially in the afternoon, you then don't issue an open challenge in Liverpool, especially knowing the amount of talent who are about from Siren's Fury. Anybody could swoop in and take that opportunity. And on this occasion, it was Lizzie Evo, who's in her hometown. Just Alexis Falcon, I don't think anticipated that happening. And she certainly didn't anticipate Lizzie to be on absolute fire, tear into her and pick up a win in 4 seconds. Alexis was just shocked and dumbfounded, and crazy by Alexis, but I'm sure we will not have heard the last of the Iron Queen. And as soon as she realizes what she's done, when she comes round and realizes she's put this open challenge out, which was just frankly ridiculous at the time because she's asking for trouble. And Lizzie Evo, though, capitalized on it, and she's now the 2-time TNT Women's Champion. So and double belt holder as well, because she's obviously the TNT Women's Tag Team Champion as well. So there you have it.
It's also one thing to mention as well. She's obviously ended the record over 6. I realize was it around 600 days Falcon was the champ?
Well, that's it, yeah. And I think it must have been Lizzie who had the record before. So if Alexis has taken the record and then is going on about it, Lizzie's won the belt back off her. And if that's cumulative, Lizzie will be longest reigning one again soon if it's cumulative.
Oh dear. Next up was obviously a 4-way tornado tag team match. Lyco's Jim defeats Jordan Oliver and Starboy Charlie and Loz. I'm not even going to say it again. And Loz Vipers. I'm not going to try that name.
You know what? That match was excellent, and it was due to be a triple threat tag team match at one point, and then Lost Vipers had done so well over the weekend, and everyone was absolutely loving them. I think it came down to Jay after, who said, "You know what? Let's put the Vipers in there as well, make it a 4-way." So amazing stuff, and very, very entertaining. Another Lucha Libre masterclass, and great Lycos Jim, great tag team, such a good tag team, those guys, and they might not have been raised on Lucha Libre training or whatever, but these guys have picked up the style so well, and they are 2 of the best in the UK at what they do. Great tag team work, and going against these other 3 tag teams, it was just exceptional tag team wrestling, hugely entertaining. There was never a dull moment in the match, and this whole weekend is worth going on to Fight TV and checking out. But especially TNT versus GCW this last day was just something absolutely special. It was really great.
Yep, obviously, next match was obviously Joey Janela and Leon Slater. We've obviously spoken highly about these two, but this does seem entertaining.
Oh, it was out in the audience. It was all over the show, and Joey Janela had to pull everything possible out of his bag of tricks. And this is a guy who's wrestled all over the world. He's wrestled on AEW. He's in AEW for quite a while, and he's absolute party boy. But he was he's had amazing matches all over the world, and this one was no different. But it took him to his limit facing Leon Slater, and Leon is just learning all the time. He's just learning. He's absorbing that information by osmosis. He's just taking it all in, learning everything he needs, and eventually this guy is going to be absolutely undefeatable. So mark my words, he's going to be a star.
Yeah, we've said it, and I fully agree. Leon Slater is definitely the one to watch. Next up, obviously, we had Team TNT versus Team GCW in a 6-man tag team match. I imagine this was going to be chaotic.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Somehow, Big Effing Joe, back from the hospital, managed to compete in this match as well. He's a wild child. And they just threw in Robbo as well into the mix, who's just a maniac. And Robbo the problem with Robbo is he can't coexist with anybody, can he? He's just he's with Clint and Big Joe, and he's just doing his own thing. He's kicking his own tag team mates so he can pick up pins. He's suplexing people who he's not meant to be suplexing. He's all over the show. Just out for the win for himself was Robbo, and he's just violent. But the Team GCW dedicated the match to Marcus Crane, their friend who passed away, and that, amazing stuff to do that. And Jimmy Lloyd, with a real heartfelt speech at the start, amazing stuff. And of course, tagging with Rina Yameshita and Masha Slamovich, that match, just them 6 people in one ring in one night. If that was the only match announced on a card, I'd buy a ticket for that show. So, that's just amazing talent. Amazing to have those guys all in Liverpool wrestling on one show. And to think we did 110 announcements, 110 different people there. That's a weekender in Liverpool, that party. So, that match was just epic. And I will mention, for anyone from GCW watching, I do believe Team TNT picked up the win there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did. It says it here.
Come back next year for some more, right? Let's see what they can do.
Next up was obviously a tag team match, which was Boosie again defeats Act 2.
Yeah, Act 2, 2 amazing wrestlers who've worked so hard all around the UK. Before they were even wrestling, they were at shows helping out, doing all the hard work, doing all the slog, putting up rings, taking down rings, selling merchandise. Anything those guys could do to help, they would. And this is when they were 14, 15, 16. They were working harder than other people working their whole lives. And they deserve all the opportunities they're getting. 2 great guys, the indie wrestler Jack Knudsen and the sweet Prince Benjamin Harland, Act 2. And this was a huge opportunity for them to take on Effie and Ali Catch, the team of Bussy. And this was just an excellent match. Act 2 deserved their spot, and they absolutely delivered in what was a great, entertaining match. And I think Effie was definitely enamored with them. So it was a really special match. And I don't know if Ali Catch knew what to think by the end of it, but it was a brilliant battle. And Act 2 looking great live on Fight TV. So brilliant stuff.
Absolutely. Next up was obviously the GCW World Title match. Blake Christensen defeats Man Like DeReiss. The one thing that caught my eye when I saw this was the timestamp, 21 minutes.
Yeah, DeReiss could wrestle for 3 hours. Blake Christian, these are guys who are in absolutely amazing athletical, peak physical condition. That if they're not at the show wrestling, they're in the gym, or they're running a marathon or a triathlon, or they're doing a rap battle somewhere, because these guys they don't know when to stop. They are just so hardworking, and they put it all on the line. They put it all in, and that's how you become a success in professional wrestling, by just giving it your absolute all. And that's what Blake Christian and DeReiss both do. And it was another brilliant match, and we could have had a new GCW champion on that night, but I think there was one point, I believe, and that was that match, I think, where Blake Christian kicked out at 12 after the referee had been knocked unconscious. I've never seen someone kick out on a 12 count before. That was excellent. But yeah, no, brilliant match. And, Darius deserves everything he's going to get in the next year or so. He's a star. And Blake Christian is, probably one of the most hated men in professional wrestling. So, he's got to face Charles Crowley at Progress this week. He's going to be in trouble in the ballroom, I think, to be honest. As long as Crowley keeps his focus, that's a tough one for Blake. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that. But on this night, TNT versus GCW, Blake Christian managed to keep hold of his gold.
Yeah, and the thing is with Crowley, it's so easy to look past the gimmick, but he's really good in the ring. That's what really impresses me.
I wouldn't say that's a gimmick. That's how he is all the time. He is eccentric. He is theatrical. He is an amazing athlete. And I tell you, he's one of the most entertaining human beings I've ever met, let alone unleashing him on a wrestling ring. He's just absolutely a brilliant human being, very eccentric. And what you see with Crowley is what you get all the time. There's no on-off switch for Mr. Crowley. He just gets worse and louder when he's in front of a crowd to make sure they can hear what he's saying. So yeah, he's like that all the time. So
fair enough then. Next up, obviously, we had Dark Sheik defeats Helen Campbell.
Yeah, Helen Charlotte Campbell and Dark Sheik had an amazing match. It was obviously featured in the Times this week, in the Times newspaper. Absolutely history-making match. So brilliant to see. Really proud of them both. And you know what? Focusing on the wrestling aspect of it, great match. Dark Sheik always entertaining, and Helen Charlotte Campbell gave it a really good go. Very vocal and loud in the ring, screaming and all sorts. But then as well, displaying a really sort of bad attitude at some moments, and vicious and violent. So yeah, really great match. And Dark Sheik, just excellent, really good.
Absolutely. This next one really interested me, and I'll explain why in a second. The TNT World Title no disqualification match. Chi Monette defeated Charles Crowley. Is this the one where he does the spot it is a crazy spot? Is this the one?
That is the one, yes. So Shay Monet, the leader of the United Kingdom, has been building up to this moment for a long, long time. The crowd support in Liverpool for Shay Monet has been absolutely massive all the way since, I would say, since Effie's Big Gay Brunch was where the tide turned for Shay Monet, because they had been sort of hated by the audience until that point. And then I think it was Effie and Bussy and Ali Catch who really brought out of Shay Monet what they could do and what he could do. And, it came to this match. I've been building to it since then. And, yeah, there was that moment in this match where they ended up fighting on the balcony, and Shay Monet hip-tossed Charles Crowley over the balcony. And I've never seen someone go off a 20-foot balcony at that speed like a rocket before. Luckily, there was people below, including fans and staff. He landed on them, but I've never seen someone take off at that speed off a balcony before. It was shocking, absolutely shocking. You need to see that bit of footage, because it was a crazy moment, one that's going to be replayed for years and years on TNT entrance videos and highlight packages. What a moment! And Crowley has been an amazing champion at TNT. He's been controversial at times, and is definitely, as we said, an eccentric character. But this was Shay Monet's night. This was Shay Monet's moment. Shay managed to pick up the biggest win of his career. And, to beat Crowley is no, sure feat. This is somebody who's, absolutely dedicated to the craft of professional wrestling, works so hard in the gym, works so hard with his acting and everything. So Shay Monet, this was their moment, and it was an amazing moment. And Mark Adams on commentary was in tears. And Visage standing tall, Shay Monet's tag team partner, and then that was the moment when Tate Mayfair's music hit, and he came out with his Level Up briefcase, which he'd won last November, I believe. And but he didn't cash in straight away. First of all, we had the betrayal by Visage, as he hit Shay Monet in the back of the head with his crutch and knocked Shay Monet out by the looks of things in the ring. And that was when Tate Mayfair seized his opportunity, cashed in his Level Up briefcase, and stole the TNT World Championship away from Shay Monet. So from the biggest moment in Shay Monet's life, literally to a moment of despair, leaving the TNT, GCW, and everyone watching on Fight TV in absolute shock all around the world. And your new TNT World Champion, Tateness is Greatness, Mr. Tate Mayfairs. And if you type into Google now, the greatest wrestler to ever walk on planet Earth, there's a new picture there because he's now holding the TNT World Championship as well in his photograph. So there you have it. So an amazing, amazing weekend capped with a massive betrayal and a massive shock. And some people were happy with Mayfairs going over, winning that match. But as a lot of people went home thinking, oh, my God, hell has frozen over here. And luckily, the next event's Cold Day in Hell. So I'm sure Mr. Mayfairs will be back there with the TNT World Championship. And we'll have to see who's going to step up and face him for that one at the next show. So looking forward to seeing what happens there.
That kind of brings me obviously on to my next question. Obviously, is that obviously the next pay-per-view for TNT? Is there anything in the pipeline for it you can spill, or is it all secret?
Well, I know for sure that that's on October the 21st, on the Saturday, October 21st. Looking forward to that one, Cold Day in Hell. And we've also got an Ignition show on that day as well. One thing I believe that is on the cards is Blue Pain. I think Gene Money's after Blue Pain, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that match occurring on that show. Tate Mayfairs, the TNT World Champion, surely going to be there. And of course, I'm guessing Lizzie Evo, who's our new TNT Women's Champion, is going to be there. Our TNT Tag Team belts are still over in Mexico at the moment with the NWA Tag Team La Rebellion. So at some point, I'm assuming those guys are going to be back in the UK to defend those titles. They have defended them last year against Lycos Jim. And I spoke to Bestia 666 in LA, and he said he's looking forward to getting back to Liverpool and defending those titles again. But his and Mecha Wolf's calendar is crazy busy because they're on NWA, they're on AAA, they're all over the show, and they're doing a great job taking the TNT belts on tour. But I know the fans in Liverpool want to see those guys back over here defending those titles in the UK, and I'm sure it'll happen in the future. Jay Apter will get that sorted out. You know that. You can trust Jay. He brings in the best from around the world, and he puts on these amazing shows where everybody's welcome and everyone has a great time. And the wrestling scene in Liverpool is absolutely thriving. And if you can get along to a show, make sure, because Liverpool as well is one of the best cities to come and visit for a night out and to stay for the weekend. That's why a wrestling weekender in Liverpool is like nothing else. And I know for sure the guys from GCW have had an amazing time this weekend. I've been seeing their pictures on their Instagrams and their Twitters of them out and about in Liverpool. To hear stuff like Rina Yameshita saying, she's so happy to have visited Liverpool and stuff, just great to see. And all the team at TNT welcomed them and made sure they had a great time. And they've, they put on these amazing shows, and you can go back and watch them all on Fight TV now. And I've watched some of them back. Brilliant stuff. Really, really proud of what we produced and what happened over the weekend. And we go again from here. Looking forward to more to come. We've got Progress this Sunday. I believe it's Title Wrestling on October the 1st up in Huddersfield, coming up the week after that. And TNT is obviously back on the 21st of October. So looking forward to it all.
How do you actually not... Do you not actually just pass out? We're so tired because you're always busy.
I'm like this all the time. We, if you keep busy and you enjoy what you're doing, you're always going to have a great time. And I enjoy professional wrestling, and we do our best to put on the best wrestling shows around the country as much as we can to entertain the fans, make sure everyone's having a great time, and to showcase these amazing, talented performers who, put their lives on the line week in, week out, and put on these amazing athletical spectacles. And it's just it's a very special industry, and I'm honored to work in it, and I'm honored to to be able to show people what we do. So the more people who see what we do and get invested in it, involved in it, enjoy it, that's what it's all about. So people like yourself, Liam, great that you got along to the shows, and keep supporting professional wrestling, keep supporting the British wrestlers, and make sure if we're bringing people over from the States, come and see them, come and see what they can do, because it only makes the guys from the UK better getting to fight these people from around the world as well. And we all improve together, which is what it's all about.
Absolutely. So one little more question as obviously we begin to wind down. You've obviously spoke highly about the UK wrestling scene. It's in a really good place right now because obviously at one point it wasn't. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and obviously the wrestlers themselves who are working really hard to try and make sure everyone enjoys it, trying to make sure the fans have a great time, and trying to make sure that the level of talent and the level of shows is just absolutely top notch. There's people who you would never, who are behind the scenes constantly, you might not have ever heard of before. There's guys like, and even people like the referees. It's so important that your referees are top notch, your commentators. We'll give a shout out to some of the team from TNT this weekend, for example. We had Ringside Gabs was doing the ring belt for the whole weekend. We had all the guys from Real Wrestling were there on the merchandise store all weekend. All the guys from Riot 2 were there selling the customized action figures. Simon Hill was there. Mark Adams was there. DJ King was there on commentary. Ben Cecil was working his ass off at Tesco and at the shows. Jay Apter obviously is there. Just smashing it out. We have so many people helping about the scene, and the editor and all the filming crew, camera crew. GCW brought Jonathan Ash over, who's an absolute master who produces the shows and streams them live and does instant replays, literally puts them straight into the show so you can watch an instant replay as soon as it's happened. That the expertise and the level of talent it takes to do that is just unbelievable. And these are all things that you might not necessarily think of. We've got Tony Knox, who takes all the photos of all the talent, and there's so many people involved who help out, and all we can say is thank you to these people who work so hard. And then that's just some of the team from TNT. This happens all over the country. For every wrestling show you go to, there's all these people working hard to make sure that the show's a success. And from me and everyone at TNT and everyone at Progress as well, when I'm at Progress, I just like to thank everyone and say, you're all doing great. Keep up the hard work, and as much as possible, we're doing our best to support you and make sure that the business is a good place to be. And you hear tales about wrestlers not being paid or whatever. We can't have stuff like that going on. That's that's sort of a situation that we can't have. And the people who are doing that know that as well. And I'm sure they're trying their best to rectify it. And so they should, because these wrestlers put their lives on the line week in, week out, and they should be paid appropriately for it. It's their jobs, it's their lives that are on the line. And, there's no excuse for not paying people.
No, I think that's a fair comment. So, Mike, obviously, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Before we head off to our outro, is there anything you want to plug and give some shout outs? Fire away.
Oh, mate, I've always got shout outs. I always like to say a big thank you to Wrestling with Johners, who produces some of the best interviews around and is, has been such a help to us at Progress, and, for advertising wrestling and just doing his best to get it out there. Obviously, a big shout out to you guys for inviting me to be on the show today. I really appreciate it. And the Magic of Wrestling doing great things. Just keep spreading the good word. And my friend Justin Clapper over in the States, JC's Pro Wrestling channel, is always sending great information out. Make sure to go and check him out. Check out Stu's Wrestling Podcast. And wherever you are in the country, make sure to go and check out your local indie wrestling show. There's so much going on. Where I'm from is the Wirral, so we've got Wrestle Island just right near us. If you're in Yorkshire, you've got Tidal, you've got True Grit Wrestling, you've got Rise. If you're in Newcastle, you've got North. There's so much going on all over the place. And obviously, make sure to check out TNT Extreme Wrestling in Liverpool. That's where I'm the ring announcer there. Been there for nearly 10 years now. So there's great stuff. But wherever you are in the country, just have a look up what you've got coming up near you. There's people working hard, and there's great shows everywhere, all around the UK. And if you're out and about this weekend, Sunday is Progress Chapter 157. So excited for that. It's going to be a great show, and I hope we can welcome quite a few of our brilliant fans to that one. The Progress faithful will all be there, and anyone who fancies joining us, there's still tickets available. So take a look on Dice and make sure you pick up your tickets now.
There you go. Mike, again, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. The Magic of Wrestling is obviously back this Saturday as we look at the most shocking moments from the 2000s. Can you think of one off the top of your head?
Shocking moments in the 2000s? That match where... wasn't it Edge and Cena where he got thrown into into the bay. That was a bit of a crazy one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that one very well. Yeah,
that was a bit wild, wasn't it? I didn't see that coming. I didn't have that on my bingo card. But yeah, there was some skateboarding in Liverpool this weekend actually as well. I believe Scotty Rourke was teaching the 0121 how to skateboard, so that was a bit of a shocking one. But that was more 2023. But yeah, I'd just like to say a big thank you as well to all the guys who support me. Make sure to check out my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Instagram's just full of selfies. If you don't take a selfie, you forget what you've been doing, And I look back and I think we've had some great times and there's more to come. So, Liam, thanks very much for having me. And after that last weekend, I'm now calling myself the five-time ring announcing champion, the Maddog, Mike Angus.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you on the next one. Magic Man out.